Hey, good morning, friends. How are you? My name is Brie Schmidt, and I am the writer slash blogger slash photographer slash speaker behind the blog, The Thinking Branch. I want to thank Courtney for inviting me in to talk to your group today. I know she kind of gave you a little bit of a heads up that I'd be coming into chat. Hi, Shannon. So please, as always, say hello as you're tuning in. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? We are going to talk about a lot of things today. I know that many of you aren't able to watch this live because, hey, it's life, it happens, right? Hi, Melissa, how are you? So I am so excited to be in here and so grateful to Courtney for inviting me in to talk to you about storytelling, which is one of my absolute favorite topics to talk about, and specifically how we can help you guys as you are selling Zaya to be better storytellers on social media to help you with your branding and with your engagement and of course with sales, right? So before I get started, I want to share with you a little bit about who I am, so you know you're like, who the heck is this girl talking to us, and why can she talk to you about storytelling? So I'm going to share that a little bit with you, and then we're going to dive into storytelling and the number one key to storytelling. I'm going to give you like the big secret of what's going to make you a better storyteller on social media. So my name is pronounced Brie. Everybody says Brie because it has an A on the end, but my name is Brie Schmidt, and I am the writer behind the blog, The Thinking Branch. Thinking Branch has been in existence for, do you like my giant mug, by the way? For 3 years now. And I created it as a way to connect women and mothers in a world that is constantly trying to disconnect us. So I do a lot of sharing of my own stories and motherhood and life, and just trying to create this space where we have more authentic conversation about what we're going through, because at the end of the day, for those of you that are mothers, we know that it's not all, rainbows and unicorns. There's some tough parts, and they're the ones that kind of sit on our hearts a lot. And so that's why I started the Thinking Branch. But my background, I actually used to be in professional sports. So I was the director of season ticket retention for an NBA team for 5 years. So I had a sales background as well as a service background. So my group's goal was to retain customers, which you guys probably know a little bit about. Retain customers and also find ways to generate additional sales from our season ticket holders in addition to doing customer service for them. So I trained people on sales and customer service in addition to managing my own account of season ticket holders. So I have experience of working with my own group of clients and trying to retain them and sell a product, and most importantly, build a relationship with them. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then I made a really big leap of faith and left a dream job to start another dream job. And I started the newborn children and family photography business. So I'm a photographer and I get to photograph babies and families. And I've also started doing branding sessions for people like you who have online businesses to help them, have pictures to associate with the stories that they tell. And then in my experience of working with moms and becoming a mom myself, I have a 7, 5, and 3-year-old. I realized that I had a passion for wanting to connect women in the way that I explained to you before. And it's why I started the Thinking Branch. So after we're done here, I certainly hope you do not have to be a mom to be a part of the Thinking Branch, but please come over to Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well, and join our community, and you can read some of the stories that I share that will kind of talk to you a little bit or explain a little bit about why storytelling is so important to me. So before we get started, I actually want to share a story with you. So in 2012, I believe it was, I got a phone call from my high school principal, my alma mater, and he said, hey, we're looking for a keynote speaker for graduation, and your name came up as somebody. And my heart was like, what? Like, this is amazing. Like, I'm a big nerd and I love public speaking. So I thought, wow, like of all the people they could have picked, they picked me. And within a second, all of a sudden my mind went to, wait a minute. Of all the people they could have picked, they picked me? My sister is actually a TV anchor, and she's been a keynote speaker for the graduation. And we had state representatives and lawyers and doctors. And here I was all of a sudden going, I'm just a mom. I'm just a photographer. All these people out in the crowd are going to think, well, we got gypped this year. Like, where's the celebrity at? Even though I knew that I had a message to share with those students, even though I knew I had an experience to share, a story to share that I knew could help them as they went out on their journey. But I hung up the phone. I think I said something like, I got to check my schedule. When the reality was I just didn't know if I was going to be able to stand up there knowing that what people like me didn't do it before. I'm just a mom. I wasn't important enough. But through a lot of conversation with my friends and family and kind of just checking with myself, I decided to accept it. And I drove the 2 hours back to my hometown. I stopped at Target to get a green dress because I didn't like the one I had. And I remember I walked up, I was sitting in this row, and the principal was introducing me, and we were out on a football field. So the podium was at the 50-yard line, and all of the parents and family members were out in the stands, and then the students were kind of all around me. And he introduced me, and my heart's racing. I'm like, did I make a terrible decision? But I walked up there, and I stood at that podium with all eyes on me, spotlight on me, and I had this calm come over me. I just was like, I felt confident, I felt ready, and I felt like I knew I had a message to share. And friends, I killed the speech. And I only share that with you to say that was a moment that I knew I had to pay attention to. Because even though there may have been people in that crowd judging me or wondering why I was speaking, I knew that there were people in that crowd that needed my message. I knew I wasn't going to be able to serve every single person there, but I knew that I had a message to share. And for me, that was a moment that I said, you better put this in your memory, because it was a time where I knew that I had a message, and I knew I wanted to do it. I knew that I was capable of doing it, but I allowed fear and insecurity and fear of judgment come in and almost take that moment away from me. That was a moment that kind of said to me that I wanted to become a speaker, and I almost let fear take that away and other people's opinions take that away. So let me ask you this. Isn't what you do in selling your products and putting yourself out there on social media a little bit like what it felt like for me standing on that 50-yard line and having all those people with their eyes on you waiting for their judgment, and you feel it? You're like, what are they going to think of me if I post this post? And then you think about all the people that have stood at that podium before, all of the people that are standing at that podium, all of the people that are selling the same products that you are. And you think, I'm not like them. They do it better than me. I'm not good enough, right? And so isn't that like what you guys do, is standing on a 50-yard line? The minute that you walk up to your phone to start making that Instagram post or to start putting that next message out there, that's what goes on in your head, right? Is what are people going to think? Is this good enough? I just saw somebody else post yesterday and it got 500 likes, and my last post only got 8 likes. So how do we get you to the point that you're standing at that podium and feel the way that I did that day, which was, I don't care what people are thinking, because I know who I am, and I know that there are people here that need my message. So how do we get you there? And that's what we're going to try to do today. Okay? Are you in it with me? So just please know, and there's an answer to that, but I'm not going to give it away yet. So we're going to keep this super casual. I've got my giant coffee mug. I've got my water. I can see all of you popping in. And if you have questions, post them. If I'm going on and I don't answer it right away, I will get back to it. But feel free to share. That actually helps. I've done a couple of these before, and it helps when you either share some things that you're thinking or if you have a question. So feel free to go ahead and do that. So storytelling. My thoughts about storytelling really all come back to one major thing. So you're going to hear a consistent theme throughout this conversation that we're going to have today. And the theme is self-care. Don't run. I know self-care has been that like buzzword that everyone's like, oh, self-care, nobody has time for that. I'm too busy, like I can't practice self-care. I'm talking self-care, self-love, self-awareness. Because here's the thing. I could stand here today and say to you, here's how to do a great Facebook Live. Here is what makes a great story. Here is how you beat the Instagram algorithm so that people actually see your stories. You could know all of that stuff, but if you are not confident in who you are and you don't know the message that you want to share, you're never going to share it because you're standing in that 50-yard line fearing what people are thinking and wondering if you're enough. And those insecurities that you have within yourself are the things that are holding you back from even telling the story. So that's why I say to all of my writer friends, all of my photographer friends, all of my online entrepreneurs, that self-care is the most important tool that we have. Because without it, in a world where it's all about you have other people that are doing what you're doing, and you see social media and all this perfection, it's really hard to put yourself out there if you're worried that your story doesn't matter and that it's enough. And I'm here to tell you your story matters and your story is enough, okay? And I also want to share this with you. My blog is called The Thinking Branch for a reason. I am not here as an expert, okay? I don't have like a PhD in storytelling, but I am an expert in my own story, and so are you. So all of those times that you're like, I'm not good enough, yes you are, because you're an expert in your own story. You're the only person who knows your own story. So remember that, okay? Here's why self-care matters. So I think it was 2 years ago, actually, this month, I wrote my very first post on the Thinking Branch that went viral, okay? We're talking 1 million people it reached. ABC News contacted me. Love What Matters. All my stuff was all over on Babbel, Upworthy. I mean, this post that I made was covered everywhere. You would think that as a writer and as somebody who wants to put a positive message out into the universe, that I would be happy about that, that'd be excited about that. That's like a dream, to have your social media grow and to have one of your messages go out there and be positive. And I remember sitting on the couch and we were watching, my husband was sitting next to me and we were watching the numbers grow. And I turned and looked at him and he had tears in his eyes because he was so excited for me. Because the story that I shared was an authentic story. It was a story about this experience, this act of kindness that we were on the receiving end of when we were at a church festival with my daughter. And he's crying, like tears in his eyes, because he's like, this is you sharing your story and sharing your message, and people are reading it. Like, this is exciting. Meanwhile, over on this side of the couch, my heart's pounding. I was like, I don't want any of this. This is weird. I feel exposed. Everybody's looking at my words and making an opinion on it, and there were all these comments on it, and I wanted to just quit. I was like, I don't want this. And my husband's like, what are you doing? Like, this is your story. This is your message. This is what you want. But I felt weird. I felt like I was on stage and everybody was just looking at me to judge me. Do any of you feel that way sometimes when you put your post out there, right? You put your post out and you feel like, oh, what are people thinking? What are people saying, right? So that was the moment that I realized that I better start working on my insecurities. If I was going to be able to share this message that I know that I had to take care of myself. I had to dive into those insecurities and go, why do I care what people think? If this was something my intention was truly to make people happy and to share a positive message, that's what's important. Because I know there were people out there that got that message. And if there were 2 or 3 out there that had an opinion on it, great. But I know that I was being the true, authentic me, and that's what matters. So with that, let's talk about you and what you're doing. So I know one of the things I was talking about with Courtney was like, in what you do, there's this fine balance between sharing stories and selling. Is that accurate? A couple likes. Is that accurate? So, when you are trying to put a post out there and you don't want to constantly be like, this is on sale. Here's the next special that we have. Because the reality is, when you are fighting with so many other, people are scrolling, okay? So scroll. If they see, and there's ads all the time. When you're going through Instagram stories and you swipe over, there's an ad in between, your aunt's story and your friend's story, you get a little ad up there. So if you are constantly just putting up ads, you're in this crowded space, right? And people don't know who you are. Those ads aren't going to matter. Those sales aren't going to matter because you haven't taken the time to really allow people to know who you are and why you do what you do, because you have to build trust there first. And we're going to talk about how we do that. So first and foremost, if you're taking notes, this is the thing to write down. I am not a note taker, so if you want to just sit and listen and drink your coffee or your tea, that's cool. The first thing I want you to do is think about what makes you different. A couple of you are probably like, nothing makes me different. Yes, there is. Something makes you different. If you can't answer what makes you different, maybe it's like who you are as a person. What are you passionate about? And this doesn't have to be Zaya related. It doesn't have to be about the clothes. It's just you as a person. And what are some of your insecurities? What are some of your fears? What are your passions? What do you live for? Why do you sell this? What makes you an entrepreneur? What made you want to do this? Think about those things. Not what everybody else in your company has done, but specifically for you. Who are you? Because I can confidently tell you there's somebody that I follow that does a network marketing setup, and I connected with her before I connected with what she sold. And if she just tried to sell me on what she was selling, I would have never listened. But because she shared her heart, and because she shared her struggles, and because she shared her story, I felt connected to her story first. And then it got me to listen to what her product was. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck in sales, is we think it's about the product, but at the end of the day, people, I'm sure you've heard this before, but people like to buy from people that they like and people they feel connected to. And I can tell you with confidence, as somebody who has been wearing her heart on her sleeve on the internet for 3 years, people are over perfection. People don't want to see perfect this, and they want to see realness. They want to connect with you on a level of like, oh, she has that insecurity too, or oh, I do relate to that story. Because if you make them feel something with one of your posts by sharing a story, I can assure you that the next time they see your name come through their social media scroll, they're probably going to stop and listen, right? But we think it's about the product. It is about the product in the end, but it's not. If you make it about the product first, they're never going to pay attention. But think about some of your people that you follow online, or there's a reason that there's influencers out there. People that they follow and connect with, and you're not going to be for everyone. That's fine. But the more you put yourself out there and you're authentic, you are naturally going to bring the people that connect with you too. Okay? And so I really want you to think about that. And when we're all done here, is write down like what makes you different from the next person that sells Zaya. What makes you you? What story is a big part of your life? What are you nervous about? Are you sometimes nervous about posting pictures of yourself in clothes because you're wondering if people are going to make a judgment on you? Tell them that. Tell them that. I did a post the other day. I've been struggling with some self-image things, and I wrote a really raw post about me struggling with my weight. See where I go right here? About struggling with my weight. I was so nervous to share it, but it was my most viewed story I've ever put out there because I was really real and raw about it. I felt uncomfortable, but there was somebody else out there who was like, yes, I get that. Thank you for being that voice. Okay. And again, like it has nothing, it's just about me sharing who I am, sharing my story. So I want you to write that down. What makes you different? What makes you passionate? What do you love to talk about? What are you afraid to talk about? Because like the two things you're probably afraid to talk about are the things that you should probably talk about because your people are out there, right? So what makes you different? Something makes you different. Think about that. One of my favorite terms is be you, not them. Especially with what you do, it's really easy to see someone else being really successful at sales, doing it a certain way, okay? So let's just say, for example, someone is really bubbly and out there and talks with their hands like me, all right? And you see them getting a ton of interaction on their posts and selling like crazy. And there you are going, I'm not kind of in your face. I'm not loud, and I sometimes get nervous when I go live. That's okay. Be that. Because the person who is having success is because that's her being her. That's her being her. You don't have to be her in order to be successful. Because I assure you, if you try to be bubbly when you're not bubbly, if you try to pretend that, if you share a story that's not really you, your readers or your followers or your audience is not going to connect with that. So don't try to be them. I fell into that trap. I totally fell into that trap. So a lot of successful people in the blogging world are funny. and they share like kind of snarky stuff. And so I tried to be funny, and oh my gosh, was it a disaster. It was a complete disaster. Because here I was sharing all this funny stuff, and I was, in doing that, making people think that my page was about funny and all that, but I'm not, I mean, I can be funny, but I'm not funny. I'm just not that. And frankly, it felt awful. Like, I didn't like the way that it felt trying to be somebody else, because I was like, well, that's working for them, so maybe I should do that. How many of you have done that? Oh, that worked for her. Be you. Like, I just coached, or not coached, I spoke to a group of 80 writers last month. I am a staff writer for the online publication Her View from Home, and I had an opportunity to speak to them at our writers retreat, and we talked about this same exact thing, where we were talking about going live, and someone said to me, well, Brie, you're so comfortable in front of the camera, that's not me. And I'm like, that doesn't have to be you. So I encouraged this person to go on and do a live, and she was really shy and didn't know what to say. And she just said that. She's like, guys, like, I'm a little shy, but I know that there are other people out there that are shy too, but I'm here to say, even though you're shy and your voice isn't loud, you still have a message to share. If she would have tried to do it my way, it would have fallen apart. But she did it her way, and it was awesome. And you saw people connecting with that. So again, there's so many of you are in this group. You're all doing the same thing. You're seeing what's working for each other. And it's very easy to go, I better do it her way. But you got to do it your way. Don't fall into that comparison trap of, just like in motherhood, right? She's doing it like this, maybe I should. No, do it your way. So make sure you understand and embrace all of your imperfections. Embrace it all, because that's what makes people connect with you. People, like I said, people are over perfection. People want real. And if you're going to build this following, don't you want people to come because they like you? It's just like when my friends that are dating, I'll say, don't go to that date and try to be somebody that you think they are, because if they end up liking that person, then you're stuck being that person, right? And that's no fun. So it's the same thing with your business. Don't you want to just be exactly who you are and build a business around that? Because it's exhausting trying to be anybody else. So be you, not them. Don't be afraid to be inspired by other people. If you see someone who's doing something cool, figure out a way to make it work for you. But don't try to be them. Do not fall into that comparison trap, because it's not fun and it's not going to work. So just be you. And if you're like, it's hard to be me, of course. It has taken me a long time to get to a point where I feel comfortable being who I am. But I've also made it a mission of mine to work harder and to keep putting myself in uncomfortable situations until I finally feel comfortable with that. And I want you to think about things that make you stand out too. Like kind of similar to what I said about what makes you different. Like, what makes you stand out? What is different about you? I know for me with my blog, what's different about me is I do photography, so I get to use my own pictures. What's unique about me is nobody has my stories, and so I'm able to share my story, and somebody's not going to be able to go and read that. So even if another mom writes about her struggle at bedtime with her toddler, she's not going to write it the same way that I am, because my experience was different and the way that I write is different. So don't be afraid to be you. So here's the biggest thing with storytelling. Like I said, I could sit here and tell you, there's certainly tactics to the way that you craft a story and the way that you share it. But I am telling you, if you don't first dive deep into your soul and into your spirit and figure out what is making you afraid, what is holding you back from sharing your story, you're not going to be able to share the story, because all those fears, like, even if you have this story, and I know all of you who are watching this, you you have this story, this thing you want to share in the back of your head, but then that other voice comes in and says, no, don't do that. You're going to get judged for that. That's weird. Nobody has done it like that before. You don't want to be the first one to do it like that. You have to figure out how to silence this voice, because if you don't, all of these ideas and all of these ways that you have an ability to connect with your audience, to get them to connect with you, and then eventually connect with the products that you sell, if you don't get rid of this inner voice, it's not going to happen. You're just going to keep sharing the stock photos, and you're going to keep sharing the sales stuff. And And that's not something that connects with people. You got to let them in. Let people in and let them see who you are, okay? So here's an example. So let me back up. The thing that you are supposed to share is probably the thing that you're most afraid of sharing, okay? There's something about you that makes you unique, or there's something or story that you have, or a fear that you have, or an insecurity that you have. And there is a woman or a person out there who feels the same way and is waiting for somebody to say, I feel that too, right? So for example, here's an example. So if I was selling, the Zaya product, what the natural instinct for many of you probably is to just like post a picture of the clothes and be like, hey, these are great. Or post a picture of you in the clothes and be like, hey, these are on sale, okay? Talk to me about the difference between if you saw that, okay, on your social media scroll versus a picture of me standing and looking in the mirror with my gear on and talking about my struggle with anxiety, because I struggle with anxiety. So if I sit there and so I'm looking in the mirror, the picture is me looking in the mirror, and I just kind of go through and say, I look at this person in the mirror sometimes and I don't know who she is because she's afraid. This anxiety comes in and makes her afraid. And I know deep down in my heart that I want to just go out to the world and be myself, but anxiety keeps holding me back. But I am going to continue, to fight to be me, okay? That has nothing to do with Zaya, right? It has nothing to do with my clothes that I'm wearing. But what it did do was connected me with somebody in the audience who understands what it feels like to look in the mirror as someone who has anxiety and to have those fears. So I have now taken, let's just say 5 people that were like, yeah, I connect with that. I'm gonna follow this girl, okay? So now you've at least got them following you and connecting with you. And then maybe the next time I share a post about self-care as a mom, okay? So I would maybe show a picture of me tying up my shoelaces that show the bottom of my pants, right? And I will say, it was really hard to get out the door today because my kids wanted me, I had dishes to clean, there was emails to respond to. Like, it would have been very easy for me to go and do those things instead of going on this 15-30 minute run and taking care of myself. But I'm worth that. As a mom, I deserve to take care of myself, okay? Again, I'm not selling the product, but I'm showing people who I am. There's a mom out in that audience who reads that and is like, yeah, I get that. Like, I really want to be able to push past that fear or that need to, do all the things instead of taking care of myself. So there's 5 more people, okay, that come in and they're connecting with me and my story. People have to connect with you and who you are before they're going to connect with your product, right? So think about it, like people that you feel comfortable with, so same thing. A friend that you know really well is like, oh, there's this babysitter that's great. Or a friend says, oh, you totally have to go to this hairstylist. She's amazing. Tell me that you're not going to look at that hairstylist or that babysitter first and look at them with more favor than you would if you just went online and found this hair salon. Because you trust your friend, you trust them. And so much of what you are doing and so much of your success is about building trust with the people who follow you. And it's not about just selling the clothes. It's about showing them who you are and showing them why you do what you do, and sharing your insecurities and sharing your strengths and getting people to feel connected to your story first. So that way, when you do share a sale or share something about the product, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna look more into that because they already feel connected to you. So then they're gonna feel connected to your product. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. And I wanna also share my 90-10 rule when it comes to storytelling. So as a photographer and a blog, so I've grown an online business both with photography and my blog. And so much of it has been about storytelling, even with my photography. So as a photographer, let's just say I have a picture of a mom and a little girl hugging, okay? I could easily post that picture on social media and say, you know what, let me step back because I'm not gonna explain that correctly. So with photography, I'm gonna show you the difference in a post, okay? So photographers, right? There's a million of us out there. I'm based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and there's hundreds of photographers here. So if I go on social media, okay, and I say, hey guys, I've got sessions open, here's when they are and how much they cost, okay, and someone happens to come across that post, they don't know who I am. I'm just another photographer with a cute picture of a mom and a baby, versus this post, okay, with a mom and a baby, and I say, one of the most important things to me as a photographer is helping moms prior to the session. I have a phone call with them to remind them that this session is not about perfection. It's not about getting the Pinterest picture. It's truly about capturing the family in the way that they are. Showing up, giving a mom an opportunity to have 1 or 2 hours to herself where she can just be mom. She doesn't have to control anything. She just gets to go and love on her kids and just let go of all the stresses of life. That's what family photography is about. It's about being real and about capturing your memories and not trying to recreate these pictures that we see online. Let's have a session that shows, all of the love that is in your family, all of the real, imperfect love, okay? Difference, right? So that post does a couple of things, actually. That post, if someone comes across that post, they're gonna know that me as a mom, I understand the importance of that, okay? Understand the importance of wanting a mom to be able to just let go, because so many families don't do pictures because they're afraid of just the chaos of it all and if the kids are going to participate. And I'm putting it out there and sharing my story that part of my service as a photographer is to really help the mom be present and just be open to whatever happens. And the other thing that post does is it creates a connection with me and that mom that is in the picture. And she wants to share it with her friends. And it helps her feel connected to me and realize that I get her, and so that she will want to come back and have me as her photographer every year. So you see the difference in the two? There's connection happening. There's connection happening with my current client, and there's connection happening with a potential client. Versus if I just go, oh, mom loves baby, book your session today. There's a big difference there. It takes time. It's not going to happen with one post, but you have to continue to just show who you are. That is it's the most important. I want to shake my phone. It's the most important thing. And with that my 90-10 rule when it comes to posts. So 90% of what I post is what's in my heart, okay? I post it because it's real. It's what I believe in. It's how I feel. It's who I am. It's because I want someone to hear the message. I want them to feel it. I want to help make the world a better place. That 90% of what I do is for that. But you better believe as a business owner that the other 10% of me absolutely knows what it's doing for my brand and knows and being mindful, how is this helping someone feel connected to me? How is this going to make that mom feel? What can I say that is going to help that mom connect with it? How can I say? Not what can I say, because what can I say is part of that 90%, but the 10% knows what it's doing. Here's how that would apply to you. So let's say that your audience, that your customer is a mom, okay? And you know that one of the barriers to buying your clothes is that moms don't even feel like they have time to work out. And so why are they going to buy the clothes? Okay, so you know that. So thinking about the objections that people already have, or thinking about the insecurities that your customers have, and speaking to that. So very similar to the post that I talked to you about before with tying the shoe and self-care, putting out a post that says, listen, moms, it's hard. It's hard to find time to do anything for ourselves, but it's so important because if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not gonna be able to take care of the people around us to the best of our abilities. So we have to find that time to move our bodies and take care of ourselves, because if we don't, we're not gonna be able to take care of other people. So again, 90% of that post is, that's true. That's the message that you want to share with the people out there. But there's 10% of you that knows that from a business standpoint, you are going to, the person that reads that is going to go, yeah, I kind of get that. And then maybe it helps kind of break that barrier or that objection that that people have when it comes to buying your products, right? So at the end of the day, I'm going to give you guys this mission, this challenge, and my family's walking in the door right now, so if you see a little man come in, this challenge, I want you today to write a vulnerable post, and whatever vulnerable means to you, like just a true, raw, authentic post. And I don't want it to have a sales element to it. Okay, so there's no like, hey, buy this product, or you can tag Zaya in the post and tag it in the comments and everything, but I don't want you to be saying buy this. I want you to let people in. I want you to write a post today that lets people in, that lets people see who you are, that you're sharing a struggle, or you sharing a joy, or you sharing something that you know, or that you've heard, people who, have come to you about your products and say, yeah, that's not for me, that you know what objection is out there. Put it out there. It feels so, I'm telling you, it feels so uncomfortable. I've been putting my heart on the internet for 3 years on my blog, and I still have days that I'm like, oh, this feels so uncomfortable. People are going to be so judgy. I know they're going to judge me, and like, this is me showing my weakness, and that's really uncomfortable for me because sometimes I like to look like I have it all together, even though I don't. But then I share it, and it's the thing that makes people the most engaged. And it's the thing that people send me messages and say, thank you for sharing that, because I feel that way too. And then I get this connection with them. Then I feel less alone in my struggle. So it's just kind of this beautiful web of like, not only are you going to be able to turn those people into sales, which I know is what's important to you, but it's also like you getting to be real and put your real heart out there and allow other people to put their real heart out there too. And it's kind of this beautiful thing that you get to do for people. So I think excuse me, need some coffee. I think my most important message, your mug's too big when it takes up your whole face when you take a sip. At the end of the day, like I said, if I told you how to take the perfect picture, how to write the perfect story, how to post at what time, and what are the keys to doing a good Facebook Live, that's all well and great. And that part is a part of what we do and being, online influencers or entrepreneurs. At the end of the day, none of that matters if you aren't pushing past whatever fear you have about being real and authentic. So you have to dive into that. And whatever that looks like for you. For me, it was a lot of meditation. It was a lot of reading books about positivity. It was a lot of talking to myself in the mirror every morning. Don't think I don't do it. Say you're enough, you're worth this. It doesn't matter if someone else has done this before. That person is not you. You get to be who you are. And I'm telling you, it has been the most freeing experience of my life to push past these insecurities and get to just live as me and to run a business as me and to not have to put on a front and to not have to be like my friend just went crazy viral yesterday with this post. I mean, I've never seen anything go so viral. All right. My first instinct was, oh, that'd be nice. Like, maybe I should. And then it's like, no, back up. That's for her. That's her part of her journey. I just want to be me. I'm just going to continue to share my own heart and my own life because it is so freeing. Like, don't you want to feel that way? Like, don't you just want to just be who you are and be okay with that and stop trying to keep up with all these expectations that are out there and all these tips and tricks on how to sell more and blah, 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 blah. The tips and tricks are important. All that stuff is but all of that should be bonus. All of that stuff should be extra to the work that you're doing on yourself to be strong enough and to be willing to be vulnerable enough to share who you are. Okay? So if you're that person who is going to post on social media and you're like, I don't know what to post. I'll just take this stock picture and tell people that there's a sale, right? And that's easy to do. I get that. I want to challenge you today to really start thinking about how you're going to let people in first. Because the product, they're going to love the product after they fall in love with you. And again, you're not going to be for everybody. I'm not for everybody, okay? And I'm okay with that. Because I only want people in my community that connect with me and share the same values and share the same struggles as me, because that makes it fun and it creates discussion and engagement on our posts. It's so freeing to just be you. So please, I challenge you today to really think about how you're going to let people in more. Let people fall in love with the person before they fall in love with the product, okay? Because you can tell them all day about the product, but if they don't know who you are, they're gonna be like, okay, who's this person telling me about this product, right? So go be you. You have a story to share. It could be something as simple as something that happened to you this morning. I share all of the stuff that I share in the thinking branch are all of these little stories that happen in my day. Whether it's like a tough moment like I had with my son last night. He was in an anger mood, and so I wrote about that. And I know there's another mom out there that was putting her kid to bed last night and struggling with how to help their child with feeling angry. I know that when I shared the post about me feeling like bad about my body, but knowing that I need to be body positive for my kids, but like I can't get out of my head that I don't feel good in my own body because, I'm getting older and like I'm not as active and blah, blah. I know there's another mom or another person out there who feels that too, okay? So if you have to get them to connect with who you are before they can connect with what you're selling, okay? Does that make sense? I hope it does. So self-care, take care of yourselves. Listen. We go so fast in this life that we don't like slow down and really listen to like what the stories are that are on our hearts that we want to share. But there's a story on your heart that you want to share. So that's all I want you to do this week. One post. And I hope that turns into many more. And if it feels really uncomfortable, excuse me, that's probably a sign that you need to put it out there. Like vulnerability is I'm telling you, vulnerability is what people want to see. I can't tell you how many times I get messages from people who just say, thank you for reminding me that I'm not alone, that life isn't perfect, and that, everybody's like everybody's lives aren't Instagram perfect and Pinterest perfect, that, it's hard sometimes. And equally, it's really exciting to share the exciting times too. Like when I have exciting things happen for my blog, or if I have a really cool speaking engagement that I get to do, I share that with people too, because I want to share my joys as well. And because they feel connected to me, they want to share in that also. So just keep telling your stories. Use Instagram stories to show your behind the scenes. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like the other day I just showed, I said this one time that we actually bought a nice couch, and I showed my kids had built a mountain of cushions over in the corner, and it's not anything like major, but it made people laugh, and it made people like, oh, like, that my kids do that too. My living room's a mess and all that stuff. So it's just about sharing who you are. And I tell you, you're going to love, because you will get business burnout too. If you're trying to do all this stuff and it's not working, like, wouldn't it be really cool? Think of this. Wouldn't it be really cool to build a successful business being exactly who you are? What a concept, right? Like that is the joy that I have had over these last, oh my gosh, it's been 8 years now since I started my photography business, is I've built a business just being me. As a photographer, I'm who I am. I show up to sessions and I don't listen to all these tips on here's how you engage with your families. I just talk to them and I be me. And I talk about the things that I love. And I just do it the way that brings me joy. And there are certain people that don't connect with that. That's okay. They're not my client. But the people that do are the ones that are not only going to book me, but they're going to book me again and again and again. And that's what you want too, right? You want to get people in, be yourself, get them to buy the products, continue following you, and then the next time you have a new product come out, they're going to buy that, right? But you have to let them in. There's too much saturation in our social media world with all these advertisements and stock pictures and stuff. You just got to let people in, okay? So, I don't know if this is okay or not because I'm not really sure about how your groups go, but if you do make that post on Facebook, share it into the group because I would love to read it and see what you, or if you do it on Instagram, tag me in the comments or something. I'm at The Thinking Branch on Instagram just so I could read it, or send me a message and let me know that the post is up, or tag me in it or something so that I can see it. But feel free too to like go look on my Instagram. My Facebook is my main platform. I have I'm almost at 35,000 followers, which is like baffling to me. It's 3 times the size of my hometown, but it's also exciting because that's what I want to do. I want to grow and I want to reach more people. But if you want to go look and at some of the stories that I've shared on there, just to kind of get a feel for how I do it, again, don't let it be that has to be how you do it, but it's more about seeing that like you can share whatever's on your heart. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be what everybody else did. Just share whatever's on your heart. You'll see pictures of me looking like this. You'll see me doing a live last night, sitting on my bathroom floor with a headband on and no makeup, because that's me too. But it's just about going on and being who you are. I want that for you. And I know you want that too. You have a chance to be incredibly successful and make money for your family. Like think about that. You have the ability to be exactly who you are and have that help you be successful. Like that's exciting. That's really exciting. So push past that fear, whatever that looks like for you, you know, right, to journal, to just try it a couple times, try sharing a couple of things that are letting people in, and you watch what happens. I'm telling you, watch what happens when you start being real, and watch what happens when people start connecting with you. It's a really awesome thing. That's all I've got to share today. I am open for questions. If anybody needs it, feel free to message me on my Facebook page or on my Instagram if you have a question. I would love to see your posts. So I know that a lot of you couldn't catch this live, so if you catch this later, I want to see your posts that you're sharing. But feel free to use me as a resource if you need anything. Like I said, I'm not the expert, but I do have experience. I have 8 years of experience building a photography business and 3 years experience being a writer, and opening my heart up to the internet and the world to see, which sounds crazy, but like it's so exciting now because like I said, I just get to be me, and I get to help provide for my family being me, and you have that opportunity too. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that it's easy. It's not, but it's worth it. And if you want to keep putting yourself in the position of success, you just need to open your heart and be willing to share your story, because your story, somebody out there is waiting for someone to share it. Someone out there is feeling alone and like they don't have anybody that gets them, and then you share that and you have an ability to make that person feel less alone. Like that's the beauty of it. And oh, by the way, if they buy some products too, which they might, you know, that's amazing. And that's the goal, right? But you can't, it doesn't happen until you start letting people in first, okay? So again, I'm Brie Schmidt from The Thinking Branch. You can find me at facebook.com/The Thinking Branch. I do Facebook Lives usually every Sunday. I share a lot of work. I'm so fortunate to have an incredible network of online entrepreneurs, fellow writers, that I share their work as well. So if you're looking for some more inspiration, I have some friends that share some very raw and real stuff. So I'm you can go and look at some of the people that I share and go check out their stories and just kind of see like I've just been seeing in the blogging world, the people that are successful are the people that are just letting people in and just saying like, hey, here's who I am. And for some people that's like, hey, I love clothes and makeup. And there are people that love clothes and makeup. So they're gonna, so whatever it is for you, that's what I'm saying. Just please make sure it's you. And when you see the person, whoever's the top person in your company who's just killing it, I assure you they're probably killing it because they're just being who they are and they're working really hard too. Okay. So again, facebook.com/The Thinking Branch. I'm over on Instagram at The Thinking Branch. Feel free to shoot me any messages, any questions, anything, and feel free to share any posts that you have. But start thinking about that post that you want to share. Okay. Let's start letting people in. Taking care of yourself I'm telling you, it's the most important tip that I can give you today, is to push past your insecurity. It just is what it is. It's not easy. It's not an overnight thing, but I assure you, I have spent the last 3 years just diving into all of the ugly and all of the imperfect and embracing it and sharing it and saying, this is how I feel today, or this is what I'm scared of today, and this is what's really hard about motherhood today, and this is what's really hard about being a working mom, and just opening that up. And it's freeing for me, and it has helped my page and my community grow, and not only grow, but to grow stronger as well. And I want that for you. I want you to be successful. As a fellow entrepreneur, I want to see you be successful, and I hope that you diving deep into what your story is and sharing it is just one positive step in doing that. So thank you so much for allowing me to come on today. To Courtney, thank you. I know that you're gonna be able to watch this later, but feel free to drop some questions in the comments too, because I'll be in this group for a little while longer checking them out. So all the best to all of you. Go sell your face off and do it by sharing your story, okay? Have a great rest of your week.